Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Let's see who's in. Michael Fontaine, Flora Candia. I agree with you on that ME, by the way. Colorado Skywatch. Bill Knight. Cupie's in. Welcome, welcome. What happened to the rest of the week? Yeah. Actually, this week wasn't super fast for me because I was so busy with some new things, but Janice Windsor's in. Shari D, welcome. Jumping Ship. KDB. Adam Ant is in. Leah Broadwater. Intrepid's in. All right, that looks like it. Not super busy today. It hasn't been the busiest of Mandela weeks. There has been some interesting things in the world news. You know what? I don't think I even changed my description from last week, come to think of it. Probably says whatever it said last week. Moonlit Illusions in. Lisa O'Brien. So, let's see. What have I been up to? I did buy that new truck. So that's kind of like the newest, nicest truck I've ever had. Woohoo! Let's see. Where is it? Here, if it still shows. Yeah, that's the original advertising for it. Woohoo! Yes, had to brag a little bit. It's a little bit like, I don't know. It's a little bit overkill for driving around, but I still like it. I hope to do some off-roading this year if they don't close the whole planet. Okay, so speaking of the devil, world news. This one's a particularly interesting one that I got off of Removing the Shackles channel, which I swear used to be Release the Shackles. But they do cover Mandela effect and world news kind of stuff and just chit-chat like that. She mentioned something on there about the flu statistics for Australia, and so I dug and I found this chart, which is the flu statistics by year. See if I can blow it up a little bit. It's going to be a little hard for you to see. I think that'll help some. Okay, so each one of these dotted lines is a different year. So this big purple one, this is the flu, not the C, not the big C, not the cooties. So let's see, this purple one is 2017 flu year. You can see that that was a nasty flu year. Orange one is 2019. These ones here, other years, I don't know why they had 2009 in there and then all the way to 2015. But, so where is 2020? I actually didn't find it at first because it's so ridiculous. It's down here. So apparently Australia stopped having the flu in April and hasn't had any through July, which is like right around when the big C kicked off. They stopped having the flu, and you could see that before the big C kicked off, they were kind of running high for the flu in January, February, and March, and then suddenly April, May, June, July, it's down here on the zeros department almost. So if you go up here for 2020, the July cases for like 2009 were 29,000 something. The lowest was 2018, which was almost 4,000. And in 2020, they had 34 cases in July. So June, the lowest year ever then had been 2018 with almost 2,000 cases. And this June, they had only a little over 200 cases. May was 231 cases. April, 308 cases. But yet in March, they had almost 6,000 cases, which was double of 2018 and 2017, 2015. So, very interesting. What's going on? I guess the C is the cure for the flu, or maybe things are getting labeled differently. This is a very interesting chart. It's so hard to find these charts, and of course you never see them on the mainstream media. Heaven forbid that they should show anything as interesting as this on there. And neither side, I might add, neither the Republicans nor the Democrats add any of that stuff. The Republicans are playing the game of being like anti-lockdown, but yet they never really show you the really interesting evidence, do they? You just looked at her last week and didn't see it. What did you not see? Are you talking about the cow one? I'm gonna do that one after we cover a couple of world news ones. Oh, we're talking about that. Okay, I'll put that down. We're talking about the tablet on the Statue of Liberty. Let's check that out later. There, now I won't forget. Always been removing the shackles for you, huh? I swear it was release the shackles. In fact, I'm having trouble remembering it's removing the shackles. I keep typing in the wrong thing. Lots of states had to revise their numbers. I don't know, there's a lot of states have suddenly started including these presumptive positives in. So like, I think I covered this before, but if one person tests positive, then anybody around them is considered presumptive positive. Like if everybody in your house, they could have it. So they add those in as the cases, and they haven't even been tested. So, of course, the cases could skyrocket ridiculously if for every positive test you add another 15 people. UK is getting bad now. You mean about stupid rules, or because I mean like I've been looking up the stats for a lot of these places that they say are getting really bad with the sea, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff like this. I'm seeing a lot of the hospital cases really just being flat. The COVID admissions go up, but then the non-COVID admissions to the hospital go down by the exact same amount that the COVID admissions go up. So I think there's a lot of relabeling going on there. There's way more COVID cases. Yeah, but there's way less every other case every time. So I'm really suspicious. I'm not saying that it can't be that they'll be slammed with the COVID cases, but it seems like so far that it's just not bearing out with the statistics. So, all right, here's another one. Okay, this one's interesting. This one's talking about the accuracy of the testing. That's something I've been harping on for a while that we didn't have much info. There's been a statistic that's been floating around for like a week or more that the tests are 80% inaccurate. And I kept asking, where did you get this information from? And nobody knew. They just heard it from somewhere else who heard it. So I was like, every time something gets around like that, sometimes it's very hard to find out like why people are saying it. Well, this might be why, or this article might hint at it. So, explainer: is rapid test kit problem really a setback for India's fight against the CP? So, corona, you know what that is. The cooties pandemic. Okay, so here we go. So the big question here is on these rapid test kits. I've seen this one come up a lot. They had the PCR test where you send in the info, you send in the swab. That's where they stuff it up your nose, into your brain cells almost, and then they send it out. And then you wait for days and days and days until you finally get the answer. Or they have these rapid test kits. And I didn't really know a lot about these, but I guess there's two kinds. One of them tests for antigen, which is like one of the proteins that is on the sea. At least that's the story, that's what they're testing for. So that sounds like it might be good, maybe. But they're saying that one is 34% to 80%. The sensitivity of these tests might be expected to vary from 34% to So what that means is the sensitivity varies. So you want a sensitivity of 100%, which would be that every time that antigen is present, the test tells you correctly. That would be 100%. So if it was 80% sensitive, then it would only get like 8 out of 10 or 80 out of 100 positives. So it would have a lot of false negatives. It would have 20% false negatives. Now, if it was only 34% sensitive, then that means, what is that, 66. That would be 66% of the actual sick people would not be accurately detected. So it would be 60% false, 66% false negatives. Don't expect me to do math at midnight. So that would be like over half the people who have it would still come up negative. Okay, if that was the case. So that would be for the antigen testing. So that would be pretty bad. So basically a lot of people that had it would be false negatives. Then you flip around over here to this antibody based rapid diagnostic test. I didn't even know they had an antibody rapid test that they were using. It doesn't make sense to use an antibody test because you might have had the virus 3 months ago and you may be over it and just have antibodies. So that doesn't make any sense at all to use that. Okay, so first of all, they're saying the antibody test wouldn't work good until you're later in the illness when you already have antibodies. I find that a little surprising. I mean, really, is your body that slow to make antibodies? It seems to me that by the time you're feeling, sick for a few days, you should have some antibodies. So that's a little bit suspicious to me. But let's just pretend that that is accurate and you don't have a lot of antibodies until later in the game. Okay, so then again, there'd be a lot of false negatives. So there's two things you'd get here. People who are sick right now with, say they really had the C, but they don't have the antibodies yet, then you get false negatives. But you'd also get a lot of inaccurate positives because there'd be people who had it months ago with antibodies, and then they would be labeled as positive. They don't have it right now. So when they would be labeled as a positive case, and they're done. They don't have it. So this is totally a stupid test. I don't know why you would have a rapid test for antibodies. There would be no reason to do that. The only reason to look for the antibodies would be to see who has had it at any time. And so using that is silly. So then that accuracy is going to depend on how fast you develop antibodies, which supposedly we don't really know, how long they last. But there's another problem with the antibody test. Supposedly, antibody detection tests targeting the C may also cross-react with other pathogens, including other human C viruses, giving false positives. Okay, so here's another case of false positives. You've never had the C, you don't have it now, but 3 years ago you had another coronavirus, say SARS or MERS, which are bad, or one of 4 other coronaviruses that cause flu with milder symptoms, like ordinary flu, basically. It is an estimate that of all flu infection, 25% are caused by the 4 harmless C viruses. So that means if you've had 4 flus in 4 years, one of them was probably one of these other C viruses. And so then how long did those antibodies last? Say they last 4 years. Then there's going to be a cajillion false positive results tests from this antibody test, this fast acting antibody test. Now, I'm not hearing that it's catching 100% positive, so that's unlikely. But that basically, we don't know what the F is going on with this antibody rapid test. I mean, it could be getting some other flu. Maybe you had the actual C months ago. Maybe you have it now, but it's not catching it. It's like, God, that sounds like it's close to freaking useless. I sure as heck wouldn't be getting that thing. It'd be like a total spin of a throw of the dice what you'd get. It could be, that's just stupid. Okay, so there's been a lot of pushing of this rapid test business. And, a lot of people, why aren't you using the rapid test? Well, maybe this is why. I don't know. Um, it does not give me any sense of positivity at all as far as the accuracy of the test so far. I am not at all impressed. I mean, really, you're going to base your livelihood on these crappy tests? I don't think so. Let's see what you guys are up to. I no longer recognize friends out in public with masks on. It's a weird thing because I'm so crappy at recognizing people by faces because I have prosopagnosia, which is inability to recognize people by faces. Although I can do it a little bit. I'm not as bad as some of the people with the condition. I actually don't have a problem when people have masks on because I don't really use the face that much. I just use the hair and the voice and the way you talk and the way you dress and like that. So but I could see though that would probably really irk people, wouldn't it? Because now you're like me now, and you have to suffer through not knowing who the heck people are for sure. I wear the mask only to avoid confrontation, but I have a legitimate medical condition that does make me almost pass out every time. Okay, well, what people are doing around here is, first of all, sadly, people like you are not getting very much sympathy, which I think is horrible. But what you can do around here is you can wear the shield. It's kind of ugly, but it just has a shield, like a plastic shield in the front. But there's a lot of room for air to get in and out underneath, so I know people who are doing that instead, and you can totally breathe with that thing on. And that's probably the best solution. Your other option is to wear a really thin mask just to make people happy. But it's kind of even worse cheating than the shield. So I would suggest getting one of those face shields. That's what I would do. And when I was in the bank getting my new truck financed, there was my loan officer was doing that. So, and she said it's just kind of ugly and a little irritating around the head, but you could breathe, and she's got to wear that thing for like 8 hours. One man had positive and negative results in one day. Yeah, exactly. It's just it's a total spin of the dice. I'm hearing all these rumors about people sending in the swabs without ever having poked it up their nose and still getting positives. Who knows about that? Because anybody can claim anything. I would not at all be surprised, though. My mask is always on my chin when I go shopping, and nobody has said anything. A lot of people around here are putting it like here, but their nose is still sticking out. It makes me laugh because it totally defeats the purpose, but I'm not worried about it. At the beginning, 90% inaccuracy came up. Yeah, where is that at, though? Where did people just get that number from? You can't just invent it, right? So I will be wearing a mask, better safe than sorry, and fined. Yeah, well, that's why I'm wearing one, is when I have to, because it's law to wear it in crowded places in public here. So in order for me to get into the grocery store, I have to wear the thing. I think they're still allowing face shields and stuff, though. But, my breathing is okay that I can wear a mask for 20 minutes just walking around in an air-conditioned store. Regular colds, aren't they, in the coronavirus family? Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying 25% of flus are caused by other coronaviruses. There's 4 of them that often cause the flu. So if you get flus a couple times, then you very well likely have some coronavirus antibodies. And if you get the antibody rapid test, you may well test positive just because of those other flus that you had before, and now you have antibodies. And somebody gave me $20, so cool. Let's scroll down and see who it is. It doesn't show yet. Autistic Savant, thank you. I very much appreciate it. Let's all stay happy, leave the safety to God. Yep. Well, there's other stuff coming. I'm going to cover. The next one is more of a concern than the masks, that's for sure. Oh, speaking of weirdness, so before they were like, stay inside, stay in your home. So the latest now is that, like inside is dangerous, go outside. So our governor of California has decided that stores, like a lot of stores, can't have customers inside. They can only have them outside. So hairstylists and gyms and restaurants have they can only have customers outside. So like say the gym, they have to take their equipment and drag it outside and put it in the parking lot, and then people can do their weightlifting out in the parking lot. And then at the end of the day, they drag their equipment back in. So you imagine you have this beautiful facility that you've set up, and then you have to like drag all your crap out into the parking lot. In San Diego, restaurants have been given the go-ahead by the mayors and various governmental agencies to just set up out on the street, out in the parking lot. They don't need a permit. It was immediate, instant allowance to go out. So like you can eat out at a lot of places now if they've got a parking lot or a piece of street they can block off. They'll just put the tables, so you're sitting in the street on a table. You know, they try to put some covers, but there's rules on how much cover you can have, because if you put too much cover up, it's inside, and inside's not allowed. And it's just like ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But at least I can get my hair cut, since she doesn't do dyeing or anything. I could get that. Reconnecting. Yeah, you know, my internet, my computer's been terrible today, so I tried rebooting it a couple times. Fingers crossed. The mask makes you feel very breathless, not nice. Yeah, you know, some people can adapt better than others, but everybody, it does put a strain on you. And if your airways are good and your heart is good and you're younger and you're not exercising and you don't have it on that long, then it won't have that much effect on you. But if you have to wear it 8 hours a day, if you're older, if you have any health problems whatsoever, it takes more of a toll. Although, you know, it's interesting. I see people with their nose hanging out, and I haven't seen anybody confront any of those people. I mean, I'm not going to, because I'm really just not that worried about the sea. But there are a lot of scared people out there. You see on the news all the time these fights and stuff. I haven't seen anything like that. And every day I go out, I see people with their nose hanging out. The scared people have to notice that, because I notice it. I don't know why. I just immediately go, oh, your nose is sticking out. And I don't even know why I keep looking at it, because it's not like I really care, but it's just kind of says something about I don't know, what does it say? That they're not worried or they can't breathe, one of the others, but pre-existing heart condition plus mask equals suffering. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, I used to have asthma. It would have been horrible if I had to wear a mask then. It was hard enough to breathe even without a mask. Anybody testing would say they had it, but they have had it. Yeah, either they're in the late stages of having it, is the story. Like I said, I don't quite trust that story. It seems to me like antibodies should kick up pretty fast. They're either in the later stages of having it, or they had it long ago, or they had one of the other four. Coronavirus was listed as a common cold in medical dictionary. Yeah, well, they're saying 25%, so that's pretty common. Like 25% of flus are one of the other four corona less bad ones. So every time you get a flu, it was like 25% chance it was one of the other C viruses. I can't get in a confrontation with people, so I would rather take a risk of passing out. Yeah, well, like I said, try the face mask. It's just the plastic shield. Yeah, because I was talking to and I've worn those before, because sometimes I do work and I don't want debris flying in my eye or in my face. Just wear a plastic shield to protect my face, and there's no problem breathing in those things at all. So I definitely recommend those. I mean, you can't stuff them in your purse because they're big, but definitely worth it. If I had to wear one all day, I would probably wear the shield, because wearing it 20 minutes in the store is not that bad, but I'm not working really hard. I'm walking leisurely. You know, if it was an 8-hour day thing every day, I don't want to wear that mask. Yeah, many people are keeping the nose open. Exactly. So have any of you seen any confrontations like against people who had like say their nose out or no mask or anything? I'm curious because I just haven't seen it. And I'll tell you that most people here are wearing masks and have been for a while, and it's been required for quite some while in California. So we're probably one of the more adherent locations. $150 for a test. Really? I thought that was supposed to be covered. I think it's supposed to be covered in the United States, but you know, you can't really trust them. There's one thing about United States medical. They say it's covered, and then later they say, "Oh, never mind, it's not." And you know what? They expect you to pay it. Sounds insane, but I was on Sagittarius arm before. Yeah, well, a lot of people. I know that I was on the edge of the galaxy. I always say Sagittarius, but to be honest with you, I really don't know what the name of the arm was. It just wasn't something I followed. I know I was way out on the edge of the galaxy, or that's what they said in my old timeline, and now we're in the middle, so I know I moved. So I'm going to take everybody's word for it that edge arm was the Sag arm. In the UK shops, staff don't require masks, but customers do. I'm not sure what you mean. Like, customers yell at you if you don't have it, or I'm not sure who's the. I'm a little confused by that statement. Enjoyed outdoor dining last week. It's a bar. Yeah, you know, the weather's been great, so outdoor dining. I've long enjoyed outdoor dining, but when it starts to get really cold in the winter, it might not be as fun. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna eat out more because who knows how long it'll last. We're only in July, and I think they're just gonna ramp it up. Do the server girls go out in the parking lot in their little outfits? I sure they do. The kitty, I think Kitty Kitty wants to come in. He'll come in, he'll stomp around and be upset, and then he'll want to leave again. Do they do the little dances in the parking lot for everyone to see? I don't know. There actually is a Hooters around here next to the Walmart. Um, they just made this new rule like 2 days ago that they could, like on Monday, so Tuesday, so this is only the second day. So I haven't been there since they made the rule, so I don't know what's going on with that. I know yesterday I heard that was the case, and we started calling around and went to one. Not only do their nose hang out, but they touch their face constantly. Oh yeah, so do I, because the mask is irritating, and every time I want to talk, I pull it away from my face so I could talk better. But you know what? I'm not really worried about the C. I'm just worried about breathing and talking, so that's why I go ahead and do that. Yeah, we're in Orion Belt now. I know. I just didn't really watch it until after the Mandela. So now I'm paying attention, but I wasn't before. It never really occurred to me that it would be important to know. They are also paying people 1,500 if they test positive. Oh, who's they? What country are we talking about? Because that's really interesting. Ooh, people are going to want to go get tested. If you don't have a job and you don't mind staying home and you could get 1,500 and you can't find a job. And I think in the end of July, the extra $600 on the unemployment ends. So then they'd be on normal unemployment, which is not much money, unless they extend it. But they have not. I have not heard anything about that. Why are stars in the same place if we moved? Some of the stars have moved for me, and also I didn't used to be able to see the planets. And they just had a thing the other day where you could see 5 planets with the naked eye. I didn't used to be able to see any of them, and then it was Mars. You could see Mars, and then you could see Venus, and it was just Mars and Venus. Now you can see 5 of them. Florida's been having corona parties, so now the cops are using drones to look at people's homes and see if they think too many people are congregated. Yeah. And that brings up some other issues, too. The thing is, well, I'll talk about that in the next thing. Yeah, they're ending the... Okay, so, yeah, I'm curious about that 1500, though. Can I get more info? What country is that in? Let's see if I can find it. 1,500 for testing positive. Kitty's out there meowing. All right, I'm going to let the kitty in while that does its hunt. Kitty, you're all sad. Who are you? Kitty? Oh, you're out there. Okay, come in. I'm going to go on the video. You have to pay the kitty tax. Here's the kitty. Has to pay the kitty tax. See if you can see him. Doink. Put your head in the camera, kitty. There he is. Look at your all full of dirt. Well, he's in a good mood. He's not squirming that much. Yes. You want to go? Nope. Less squirming than usual and an extra amount of purring. He must be in a good mood. Florida wants people to wear masks in their own homes. Yeah. I'm going to have to stick out a certain finger, and it won't be this one. If you try to pull that crap, I'm like, no freaking way. It's illegal to have visitors here. Where's here? I'm curious, where's here? When you guys, I love to hear your updates on what's going on in your area, but let me know what your area is. What? See, he's never happy. Supermarket staff absolutely has to wear a mask here. Yeah, it's been that way in California for quite some time. That like a couple months now, all public workers have to wear masks, except for the police. Of course, they don't have to wear masks. Venus is the morning star. Who couldn't see Venus? Yeah, it is now. It wasn't before. Yeah, I can't help but see it now. But it's not really... For a while, it was this weird evening, like right before sunset star only. It wasn't the morning star. And it would be out at the same time during the same time of the year. It was the story for that year. And now suddenly it doesn't do that anymore. It keeps changing. Get there. East Coast, New Jersey. Okay. I did see the Mandela Effect movie. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was decent. I think Idaho got longer. All right, we'll look at that in a minute. Kitties are always a pain in the butt, but they're cute. Okay, the 1,500 payment is in Victoria, Australia. 300. So you pay 300 to get tested, or they pay you 300 to get tested. Because that'll be extra interesting if they pay you to get tested. Everybody's going to get tested. So like everybody who needs money is going to go get tested then. If they get paid to get tested and even more. It's like gambling, except for you can't lose. That's interesting. The only way to get your 1,500 COVID quarantine payment. It's a one-off $1,500 payment for those who lose their income if authorities order them to self-quarantine because they have tested positive. So if you don't earn much money, you might be interested in that. Because a lot of people aren't even going to get that sick. Well, if you have the C, you're going to get sick. At least you can get the $1,500 for it, right? And if you either don't have the C but get positive test anyway, or you have the C but you don't have any symptoms and you're stuck home, then that would really suck unless you don't earn much money anyway. Then you're basically getting paid $1,500 to lounge around in the house. And people who like video gaming will probably love that business. New $1,500 cash incentive for Victorians who are sick to stay home. I'm going to click on this because I just saw an interesting sentence. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if the other places will do that. Yeah, because we haven't really heard of anything like that. They expect you to stay home, and they say they're going to help you, but I don't hear of them like giving me any money. So I don't know how they're going to be helping me stay home when I'm not earning an income, and they don't really have anything set up for self-employed in any kind of timely fashion to keep their business running or get money. Because other people I know who have applied for the self-employment COVID assistance have not gotten any yet, and it's been months and months. So like my hairstylist, she never got any help. She's totally screwed from this whole thing. All right, Australia's backtracking plans to reopen. There's a big surprise. All right, I'm not seeing that interesting sentence. So now they're blaming the problems on families with big get-togethers. In California, they're blaming it on restaurants and in restaurants, actually. They're blaming a lot of stuff on restaurants. A lot of the outbreaks. Okay, so I'm not really seeing anything there on the $300, but they just took my job away. Oh, did they lock you down? That sucks. They're starting to push polio vaccine for 6 months of immunity. Polio vaccine? I've heard about a first vaccine that gives you immunity for just 2 months. What? It's for casual workers who don't get sick leave. That's the $1,500. Okay, so that's okay. So think about this then. You maybe only earn $1,500 normally. So if you get the test and you get positive, you get to stay home and get your $1,500. That would be kind of attractive, I think, for some people, to just go get the test and see. They are paying working people, and they get you the $300 to. Yes, okay. So if you get $300 just to get like a swab stuck up your nose, and then you may even get an extra $1,500. If you're not earning a lot, that could be attractive, and there's probably a fair lot of low income wage earners. I'm self-employed and I've gotten the PUA. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. May well be. It's probably state by state and how screwed up they are. California is a very populous state, so they're probably way behind on that. Here they're saying you're most likely to contact the C from family members you live with. Yeah, all of this, stay home with your family, and now it's like, oh, if you stay home with your family, you're going to give it all to your family. You know, I was thinking about this. Every year, they've said for years and years that the that the flu goes down in the summer because everybody's outside. So shouldn't we do what we always do every summer, which is all go outside? But they're trying to keep everybody locked down at home, and so isn't that just going to be imitating what we do in winter and causing way more flu? So the whole thing was kind of stupid. We should have been going outside the whole time just by common sense, but the company I worked at for over 8 years closed permanently in March. Yeah, there's going to be so much of that. I don't, it's, I don't know how so many companies, I don't know how, like the movie theaters, a lot of the smaller doctors, hairstylists, I don't know how they're gonna survive. Like the hairstylists now are being allowed to cut hair only, but they can't do perms, they can't do color, and that's where they're the big bucks come from, the people who get a bunch of stuff done, and most people who go in for a hair job are getting other things besides a snip. They're purposely prolonging it. Yep, I think so. Okay, that UV thing, they're saying no, UV doesn't kill it. I don't know. I have heard that, heat kills it. I don't know. Who even knows anymore? They keep changing their story. Don't ever. Yeah, I'm not getting a test, even if they offer money. They're not offering any money here, though, I can tell you that. What's next? Tell families, avoid people who live together to separate. You know what? It's so whack-doodle. People dragging their gym equipment outside and stuff. It is so whack-doodle. I have no idea what stupid thing they're going to say next. I mean, you can't predict this baloney. Something is killing people, but I don't think it is what they say it is. The thing is, most if I've looked at over the weeks, you've seen me look at the all-cause deaths state by state. Most states, the all-cause death is only up a tiny bit, or it's not even up at all. There's only a few states that have had a big jump in all-cause deaths. So something's killing some people in a few states. Not always the states they say, but New York was one of them. And it may just be that putting people on vents when they only have a little bit of shortness of breath, that may be it. I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I've heard that COVID dies almost immediately when exposed to direct sunlight, and vitamin D is essential for a healthy immune system. Well, vitamin D is essential for a healthy immune system, certainly. And so that calls into question this whole sunscreen thing. Oh my gosh, you're going to get skin cancer in 5 seconds. I mean, what is wrong with us? Are we not humans designed to be out in the sun, at least some? I actually don't wear a lot of sunscreen unless I'm really going to go out in the sun that I'm really not used to. Go ahead and get that equivalent to $533 US. Yeah, if I was working poor, that $500 would look really attractive. So, I lost my train of thought what I was talking about before, but oh well. I'm 53, never knew anyone who died from the flu, but in the past 2 months lost my best friend and an old school friend from the sea. I've lost a lot of people lately, but nobody from the sea. There's 2 heart attacks, some cancer. Almost lost somebody from another cancer and pneumonia. Pneumonia has almost gotten a couple people. I need sunscreen, I'm albino, and I burn fast. Like one of my friends she's got British blood, and the Brits, they don't get much sun, so she has to be more careful than me. I am half Italian, although I got the light skin from my dad. I can at least tan, so you do have to consider your genetics, but most who die are still around 80. Yep. See, the thing is, dying from the flu, how they label things has changed. Like, it used to be that if you got pneumonia, you died of pneumonia, but now they're more likely to write that you died from the sea. They rarely write that you died from flu, but they might say that you died from chest congestion. So it's kind of tricky. Anyway, I do recommend everybody have good vitamin D, not just because of the C, but a million other reasons. And you really can't get that from food that well. You really just need the sun, a little bit of it, you know. And you guys that are in the cloudy regions, especially in California, I can get it even in the winter, but I burn faster than tissue. Yeah. Well, then you just need a tiny little bit of sun. Okay, so the last thing, this one, it just freaks me out how people say this stuff and then it comes through exactly like they predicted, like all the paranoid, delusional, conspiracy theories, things that sounded completely insane. And then here it is using the exact same terminology that the conspiracy, I mean, you'd think they'd at least change the terms, hide it a little bit. No, they use the exact same. So we've got immunity pass, all this exact stuff. So they're already getting it set up. There was supposedly a app that was being developed called Side Hide that they were going to launch for Miami hotels, and now they've added what they're being called an immunity passport. Patrons who have tested positive for the C antibodies and are shown to have them will have that information embedded in a QR code to be scanned by hotel staff upon arrival. The Miami launch of Side Hide is a test, a proof of concept, and if it works, Holton is hopeful that it will help revive the travel industry. Heathrow Airport has expressed interest in immunity passports. The idea is to let the hotel staff know that guest is safe. All right, so that guy submitted a proposal to members of the UK Parliament Science and Tech Committee. As they say, consider ways to lift stay-at-home orders, including the development of immunity passports. The MPs are following the lead of the Chilean government, which is issuing documents that allow anyone who has recovered from the sea to go back to work and move around freely during the quarantine. Okay, so you're sick of all these stupid rules and this and that, and they're just packing them on and stacking them on. Well, you just have to go get your immunity passport. Then you can move around freely. So how do you do that? You either get the C, or you know what the other solution is going to be. It's going to be get the vaccine. So the pressure is already starting to be developed here on this bull. Other companies are pitching similar products. COVID Pass is an immunity passport that uses V-code, a proprietary cryptographic image similar to a QR code that can be scanned at a distance of 100 meters. So 100 meters, that's like 300 feet. So that is a really long distance. I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out how this V-code is transmitted. Cryptographic image, so it's like cryptograph, so like a crypto, like a hidden or secret graphic image thing, so like a QR code basically. But how does it scan at 100 meters? That's interesting. The app can geofence a point of entry, prohibiting visitors with a red light. A red light means you don't have the antibodies or you don't have the pass from entering a building or stadium. So what they want to do is have a thing where it's red if you've not been tested lately. So if you get tested, you get green for a while if you have the antibodies and probably eventually the vaccine. And then there's a time limit, and then if you don't continue to do that over and over and over, then it will turn red again. And then if it turns red, then you're going to be prohibited from entering places like a stadium or a school. I believe that all governments move toward a global health passport, which will be as common as carrying a driver's license or a passport. Well, I don't carry a passport, so it's not common to carry a passport unless you're traveling. Because this is not going to be the last pandemic we have. Adam Palmer, the COO of COVID Pass. So, it's weird because for me, this is like the first pandemic I've had in my timeline since like the bubonic plague and all those ancient ones, the Black Death. I've never had a pandemic. We didn't have a swine flu pandemic. We didn't have a MERS pandemic. That didn't happen in my timeline. So now we're gonna have to do this forever because of these endless pandemics. Apparently, like we're even in one for sure now. A recent press release from the company, which is also based in the UK, states that the passes were in the process of being shipped to both private sector and governments in over 15 countries, including Italy, France, India, and the United States. The creator of VCode did mention that the company's V Health Passport, which also documents users' COVID status, would be rolled out at sports venues in the UK this summer. Okay, so it sounds like it may be already lined up for the UK, and it's going to start with these sports venues. So all you people who like sports, you're going to have to get the V Health Passport to go in person. Otherwise, you're going to be watching on TV. The passport will have to be scanned in order to buy a ticket online, and then again at the stadium before approaching the gate. All right, so then they're talking about ethical things. One of the ethical things they're talking about is, will people just go out and get the C so they could get the antibodies? Like they'll just try to get the C so they can get the antibodies to get their passport. Of course, then the other solution, is going to be the vaccine. And they're already talking about the vaccines having limited lifespan, and so you'd have to keep getting them, which is ridiculous because the existing vaccines last 10, 20 years. I mean, I looked into this for cats and stuff because they were looking at antibodies for how long the antibodies lasted in cats for their vaccines, and they found them to last for at least 10 years. They'd only been working on it for 10 years, so at 10 years, they said, yes, they last 10 years. So it's been even longer now, so they probably could tell you if it's past 10 years. But so why is it that the traditional vaccines can last for 10 years or longer, or, even way longer, but yet they're already talking about the C vaccine not lasting that long? You have to get it every year or maybe even more. They're going to just keep shooting you with this crap. And then, so what's going to happen. People are not going to want to get, people are going to want to travel freely, but they don't have the antibodies, and maybe they don't want to get the vaccine. So they're going to cheat. They're going to borrow somebody else's card. They're going to try to do identity theft. So then what's going to happen? They're going to want to stick it in your hand. Oh, that'll prevent theft. It's just so obvious. Ugh. I can't believe it's just so blatant. Ventilators killing people, misdiagnosed. Yep. And I already covered how bad apparently the rapid test is as far as accuracy. They even admit this. It's interesting because a lot of these things, like if this really was just a New World Order type of deal, then we shouldn't have as much information as we have. That's why I really think it's some kind of Mandela reality test thing, because like the information that I just read off earlier about how inaccurate the tests are, why would they even have that there? If they wanted everybody to get the tests, they would just say these tests are really accurate. And they wouldn't allow any of this other information to get up there. And the WHO would say, yes, they're accurate. And the CDC would go, yes, they're accurate. And people would be more likely to trust it. But yet there's all this info out here that gives those who are actually looking for it really obvious evidence that something's fishy. And they're not really hiding it. So, I really do think it's kind of a case of for those with eyes to see, the evidence is being put there so that we'll know. They can call heart attacks COVID death. They can call anything a C death. When you have a heart attack, it's hard to breathe. Apparently, Cuba has an antiviral drug that essentially keeps one from dying, used for dengue fever at first, but works well for this and that and the other. Japan uses this drug. Huh, interesting. I don't know, that there's so many different stories than my old timeline about how viruses operate. Now, we've got the new thing that maybe the whole concept of viruses is inaccurate. But then I'm hearing a lot about how that the C actually doesn't kill you because it is so strong. It kills you because your own immune system overreacts to this novel virus, and your own immune system goes nuclear and basically kills you. So the enemy is your own stupid self now, and a lot of the, like remdesivir and hydrochloroquine, are both anti-inflammatory. They both tone back your immune system. And I've talked before about how they're now giving prednisone for strep throat, which is another immune blunter. My old timeline, you would never blunt the immune system when you're under viral attack because you want your immune system out there on the front lines. But the new storyline is your own immune system is overreacting and you've got to dial it back. So, yeah. So you look at vitamin D, and vitamin D is something that also regulates the immune system. So with a high vitamin D, you might be less likely to have an overreactive immune system. So then the case for what's killing these people, if it's the C, it would be some kind of something to blunt back the cytokine storm, the overreaction. There's always so much doubt surrounding the science, so we can think critically about it, not follow like sheep. Yeah, and they keep reversing the story over and over. And, if they really wanted everybody on board, I don't think they'd be so clumsy about it. Certainly I wouldn't, if I was trying to fool somebody, I wouldn't keep reversing my story constantly. And, just I can just get on the CDC right now and look at the all-cause deaths and see that in most states it's not up. So why is that information even available to me sitting here on the internet, just some girl? They should, if they're really trying to fool us, they should fake those numbers. I would still, I'm not that I'm blindly following and blindly accepting any of those numbers, but if those numbers were obviously high, it would be a lot harder for me to argue against, hey, I wouldn't be able to go look at this. And then there would be no evidence to support my cause. It would just be me and my suspicions. It would be a lot harder for me to convince anybody. So why is that information there, right there on the internet? It's very suspicious to me. It prevents the T cells from allowing the spread of the virus in the body. I'm not sure what I understand that sentence either. They reverse their stories because people are so dumbed down and they know it, no one will fight back. I don't believe that though. The more they reverse, the more the people around me are starting to question. And like people, like just Monday, these people I know that were die-hard Trump fans, die-hard, are suddenly starting to distrust Trump now. And they're starting to distrust the whole two-party paradigm. And they were absolutely, Trump's going to save us. And they flipped around. And, my hairstylist, who was totally anti-conspiracy theory, is totally on the conspiracy theory of the C virus, that she's totally like, this is bull. And then the woman who does my eyeliner tattoo, she's never even said one thing about a conspiracy theory that I've ever talked to her. And she's totally all on all of this stuff that we talk about here. She knows all of it. So there's a whole bunch of people that never even gave conspiracy theory a time of day that are on board because there's so much evidence. So when you say that people are so dumbed down and they won't fight back, the people I know in real life, actual humans, physical flesh and blood that I've met, a whole bunch of them are waking up. But when we're online, it seems like everybody's stupid as a post, like 95% of people are stupid as a post. Are those even real people? Are they bots? What is going on? I just, what I see on the ground does not match what I see on the internet. So just be real cautious of that. Assuming the internet is the real picture, because there seems to be like this disconnect between what I see online and especially social media seems to be taken over by certain types. I'm not sure if they're just bots or, you know, creatures of the Matrix, on some level, the screen creatures or what. I'm not even a Trumper, but judging by what he's done, he's now just one of them. Well, that's what they're starting to realize, because they're diehard Republicans, and so they were diehard behind Trump. But, as this thing gets weirder and weirder, and Trump is not stopping it, and he said he's blocking money to the WHO, but that will still be giving them money for another year. And he lollygagged like 2 months before even starting the process, and then they get it for another year, and then if somebody else wins, or at any time they can change their mind and say, oh no, we won't stop giving you the money. So they're getting the money for another year. Then we gave that's 200 million we give the WHO, but then we gave 2 billion to Gavi Vaccine Alliance, and that was all Trump. He directed that 2 billion. It was like 1.1 billion in one time, and then like 700 million over here. It's like little pieces, but it equals about 2.1 billion to Gavi Vaccine Alliance. And Gavi Vaccine Alliance is the number 2 biggest supporter financially of the WHO. So the WHO is still getting their 200 million, plus Gavi got the 2.1 billion. And the only other location that supports the WHO more than Gavi is Bill Gates. And the Gavi Vaccine Alliance was actually founded by Bill Gates. So basically, 2 Bill Gates entities are now the number 1 and number 2 supporters of WHO. So they have more money than they've ever had, because they still have their 200 million from us for another year. Plus they've got this 2.1 billion that's funneled through Gavi. I mean, there's no proof that Gavi's going to give it to the WHO, but you can pretty much be sure that they're going to give them a chunk of that. So that whole yammer about Trump defunding the WHO is all it's all smoke and mirrors, because he takes away over here, but not for a year, and then he gives them a giant pile over here out of his other hand. So I think Facebook is flooded with bots. They're all asking for pressure for wearing masks. Yep. Yeah, I think so. That they're bots on both sides, like these extremist statements, Facebook banned the maskless movement. Yep. But see, yeah, we still get our word out. That's the thing. As much as they're kind of banning it, they're just stirring up more trouble because people are more interested in it. So it's like, it doesn't quite work. They're not quite doing it enough. Plus hydrochloroquine, because it's cheap. So, of course, they have to squash that and push remdesivir, which costs a fortune. And they're both very similar in what they do. Maybe they're trying to wake people up bit by bit, not all at once. Perhaps they are finally ready to show their true evil. I really think that's part of it, because they're doing it too stupid. In some ways, it's pure genius, but in other ways, it's too stupid. There are just too many obvious conflicts that people are starting to notice. Twitter has gone and scrubbed all the QAnon handles. I mean, go ahead and try to make that nutty deep state controller legitimacy. I think the real virus is coming this fall. Yeah, they've been doing just fine with their baloney numbers. People are, half the population is terrified, and the other half is like, this is all baloney. If you take the CV-19 vaccine, yeah, well, who knows what? I don't know. I wasn't a big Bible person. But, the Bible's been changing, too, and I'm wondering if it's been altered to be accurate to what's coming, because it seems like the changes are mirroring what we're seeing. A lot of things that we're seeing in the Bible as far as predictions. So, I think there's prediction of sores for those who take the mark of the beast. And you can see even logically how that could come to pass. Is you're basically getting alterations of your genetic structure in some cells. If there's any kind of bad reaction, your own immune system might attack them. Who knows what? You could totally see that happening. Then you got that transhumanism stuff. Watch out for that. I remember back when there were dial-up, there was bots all over. I don't know. I don't remember. Things were different back then. I mean, I used to talk online, and most of the people seemed like normal humans back then. For me, I don't know. Everything's whack-doodle now. Real people act as bots. It's not just the internet. Yeah, I'm not saying they don't, but it just seems like there's way more online than they are in real life. So either there's just a few percentage that are very busy online, but you know, there is a lot of evidence there's bots. And I really don't know what I think about the rest of reality and how real it is. NPCs and all that. I really don't know. NPCs, bots, is there really a big difference? They thought they would start a black-white war. Little did they know, history coined it as the mask civil war. Well, I think they're operating on multiple fronts. They're trying to breed division. So two of the divisions we saw earlier was the young generation against the older generation. So it was like the millennials versus the boomers. I mean, there's always been a little bit of snide talk between generations, but it never was at the level it's at now, where kids are basically blaming their parents for all their problems and the entire world's woes. You know, it used to just be more like, oh, you're so uncool, Dad. That's so tacky. Don't even try. It was more of a, you know, more of that kind of thing. Not like it's your fault that my future is ruined. And, you know, the parents are like, the kids are obnoxious brats. Well, some of that probably was true before, but it just seems like it's really hit a level. Then you got this black versus white thing, which has just gotten ridiculous. And then now you got the mask versus no masks. And you definitely had the Republicans versus Democrats thing. That was very successful right before this went down. So what are the next, I don't know, what other divisions are there? That kind of covers the main ones. Oh, genders, you're right. The male versus female has really hit a thing. It just, you know, I don't really see it in real life, but online it sounds like there's all these men that are angry that they've been emasculated, and these women think that men have ruined their lives and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't issues there, but like it's just been so blown out of proportion, and people are just blaming their whole life's problems on some other gender. Back in the days of America Online, things were normal. Yeah, I know. You know, your biggest complaint was how long it took to log in. You know, it's every now and then there's some obnoxious person, but they were the anomaly. Children and parents, yeah, we got that one. I blame all my issues on the government. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I'll go that far, because it's easy to do that because it's sort of a faceless enemy, but all right, so we've covered that baloney. So let's get to the Mandelas. I don't have a ton of them this time. It was kind of quiet, even more quiet than last week. But somebody brought this one up. I do not remember these national park quarters, the U.S. quarter coin for people who are not from the U.S. I do remember the 50 states ones. I definitely remember those coming out. They were really pretty. They had one with a tree. I really liked it. I recognize all of those, but apparently now we have this. That's what the thumbnail is. Boink. You might have to check these because I had a hard time finding some that you could really see. I don't recognize any of these things. So apparently all these started in 2010. I think I might have once seen this buffalo thing somewhere. I've never seen any of these other 2010 ones. So each state has one now after a national park. So this is not the state's one, it's a national park one. They have a couple new territories that I've talked about as Mandela's for me before. Was the American Samoa is now an American territory and long has been. I've discussed before that I've never... And then there's the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's a little bit older one that people started talking about during the big hurricane season like a year or so ago. So those ones also now... Because originally it was just the 50 states had 50 coins, but now each territory gets a coin too. So you've got all these other funky coins from those territories. So like I've never seen any of these, but they started in 2010. I think I might have seen that Buffalo one once, but check them out because, you know, I've totally heard of the 50 states ones, and I was watching those getting rolled out, but I have not seen any of this other baloney. Speaking of the coin shortage, I have not seen any of these funky coins. Maybe they didn't make it over from the old timeline? That's weird. Have you heard of the national parks coins? Yeah, because they use like US dollars over there in Guam and stuff. So that was, who brought that one up? That was Sandman, commenter on the channel. But Kilkukmani's apparently brought it up too. I was Effigy mounds. There's a lot of weird mounds and stuff. What the heck is an effigy mound anyway? I don't even know. Effigy mound. Iowa effigy mounds. I don't even think I know what that is. Pen out of the way. Effigy mounds. Preserves more than 200 prehistoric mounds built by Native Americans. Numerous effigy mounds are shaped like animals, including bears. Oh, I don't think I know these things called effigy mounds. I think that's a new one. Ooh, look at that. Now, I've definitely seen the ones where they just scrape like a pattern in the desert varnish out here in the Southwest, but I've never heard of these mound things. I think a few of them popped up about 4 or 5 years ago, but it was just like one. Animal-shaped mounds were built from the Mississippi River to Lake Michigan. We don't know if these were all built by a single people speaking a common language. The people did share a common culture. Of course, you can't see these things from the ground, I'm sure. So it's going to be another one of these stories like, was it meant to be seen from space? Yam, yam, yam. Yeah, I've never heard of these things. Effigy mounds. Huh. Man mound. Huh. Having more than one lone one. Look at that. There's a bunch of them. That's kind of cool. Of course, if I could actually see them without them drawing white lines around them, that would be more cool. Now this one, I think I saw this one. It was like a, is that it's like a snake thing one? I think I might have seen this one a couple years ago. But these ones here, see, like I've never seen those. Cool. So I call Mandela for that one. Look at this one. Cool. Neat. That's pretty cool. Timeline's got a lot of cool stuff in it. Besides the sea. Some say they were before the natives, hundreds of them. I saw a snake one years ago. Yeah, that's the only one I saw was that snake one, and that was it. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. No, actually, speaking of the devil, yeah, I'm thinking back of, I think I've mentioned before how when I worked at the Indian store, it's a Native American store, they used to have this symbol for the buffalo, and it was it looked a lot like this coin on here with this one. But the buffaloes themselves didn't look like that back then. So I used to ask people, why do they have this symbol with this big, like, I call it kind of triangular, because that's how they are now. They have a huge front and kind of a small, wimpy butt. And so it's like a triangle. They're like this, and then they taper. And their symbol for their commonly used symbol for the buffalo had that look, but the buffaloes themselves didn't, and everybody was just quiet, you know. I always kind of had an interesting in iconography, and so now the buffaloes really look like that icon used to look, but their iconography doesn't look like it anymore. I'm like, that icon is gone. It's been replaced by a real buffalo, so it kind of flips me out. I mean, I sold hundreds and hundreds of these little beads in that shape and those effigies, and I could spot it from, you know, a mile away, that shape, and it's gone now. They don't have that anymore. Yeah, that's where I saw it. Alien show. Yeah, I'm not sure. I saw it on TV somewhere, though. I think it even slightly predated when I found out about the Mandela. Saw them on Catalina Island. They got them on Catalina Island? Are you serious? Ah, Catalina. That's another story. Effigy mounds. I have never heard of Catalina having effigy mounds. Come on. Must have Catalina. I just love how YouTube decides that I don't want it to be on Catalina, even though I typed in Catalina. Made from Catalina. I don't think I'm seeing an effigy mound for there. Iowa. Yeah, no, I'm not finding it. Huh. Maybe there's those kinds that they just scrape the desert varnish. It's not a mound. It's still flat. But it's like a pattern, a color pattern, because the rocks are dislodged. And the desert varnish, the darkening of the rocks is disturbed, and you can see the color pattern. I do know of a few of those in the Southwest, but nothing like I'm just looking here with these effigy mounds. I've been watching old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries to see if any Mandela effects. I would not be at all surprised if you found some. I really wouldn't. Okay, so National Park quarters. They've been around since 2010. Does anybody remember them? Doesn't look like it. They've only been here 10 years. So they trot out like 5 more every year or something. But that's the same way they did the 50 states, and I totally saw all those. I was totally on board for those. All right, I'm going to look at that Statue of Liberty thing now, because somebody said the Statue of Liberty tablet changed for them. So have a tablet, not change. Oh, those funny corners. Okay, are we talking about those funny corners? That's kind of an older change for me. I think you were talking about those notches. I didn't have that originally. When did I see that? At least a few months ago. I'm not sure if I ever commented on that, though. She seems like she's holding the tablet down lower and lower, though. I just noticed that. It really looks like she's holding it low now. She used to have it way up here, and it's like sagging down. The flame is less saggy than it was before. Nothing like my original. 3, 4, 5. Still 7 points. see what else we notice. It's like she's losing grip on that tablet or something. Wonder what the height is. That changes a lot. Look at this oldie but goodie. $111. I think that's the same as last time. So at some point she was more like 300, but she's getting shorter, and then this tablets and all this stuff underneath is like stacking up underneath. Now they have that. This is interesting. This image did not have tablet length before. It also did not have thickness of waist on it as information. It did have thickness of the copper, the weight, and these heights, but this is new, this tablet length and this thickness of waist. Who cares about the thickness of waist? Huh. Okay. Whatever. All right, this is kind of a weird one, and it kind of goes back to the Tartaria stuff. More weird building materials. So there's been a lot of yammer about like these older buildings that look like they're all cement burned down, and so a lot of people that follow the Tartaria stuff is like, how does a stone building burn down? And then suddenly this like slams me in the face the other day. I run into this. This just pops up on my feed somewhere on something I was looking at. So I talked about that weird cement covering stuff last week of that apparently we lost the recipe for that they used in the old buildings. But now we have this weird stuff that they use for temporary buildings. It's called staff, S-T-A-F-F. Is a kind of artificial stone used for covering and ornamenting temporary buildings. Staff is chiefly made of powdered gypsum or plaster of Paris mixed with a little cement, glycerin, and dextrin mixed with water until it's the thickness of molasses. You can cast it in molds. You can strengthen it with cloth or bagging or fibers. Now, look at how short this wiki is. It's like really tiny, which makes me suspicious because one of my old hat facts seems to be that new MEs have short wikis. Staff was invented in France in 1876 and was used in the construction of ornamentation of buildings of the Paris expositions of 1878 and 1889. It was also largely used in construction of buildings of World Columbian Exposition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the whole weird thing that a lot of people have been talking about lately is that they supposedly have these monster, beautiful, amazing buildings that they built for these world fairs, and then they just ripped them all back down. Just absolutely spectacular buildings. And sometimes they say they burn down. Well, how does like stone building burn down? Well, supposedly this staff stuff is flammable because it has glycerin in it. And so here's a picture of one. Boink. Oh, well, that's really not very visible, is it? So they don't have a lot of examples of this staff. Supposedly it was really popular, but this Dewey Arch is one. And it's like huge. I just can't really imagine them building something like this out of just some flammable temporary material. But supposedly this whole beast was built out of this crap material. And then they just tear it all back down. It's still a ridiculous amount of material. Is it really that much more easier to build it out of staff versus something that'll last for 5 minutes? Okay, so Dewey Arch. What else was on there? Oops, let's go back. Another triumphal arch. So supposedly they built it just to last for like a year or so. That's like the only real example they have besides this one. And this is another one I've really noticed is small photos. When the Mandela effect is new, it's very hard to find a big, high-quality image. Small photos and tiny wiki. So the thing like how do these old buildings burn down has now been that big mystery has now been, that hole has been plugged by the Mandela, is my feeling on this one. I think it's a real fresh one. Tiny wikis, tiny photos, very few. Supposedly this was used quite extensively, yet they have only one example here, plus this one in the entire wiki. So, suspicious. All right, speaking of weird storylines, this is another one I got from one of the Tartarian channels. Another excuse to have weird ruins showing up all over the place. So this one is just rife for controversy. This one, you have to laugh. Okay. So the story is that ancient Europe, at one time, all the rich people were, it became trendy to have fake dilapidated buildings and ruins. So they would build fake ruins. So supposedly this was built to look like just, they would have like these giant parklands, grounds, and they would put fake ruins in them. Or they would get real ruins and like disassemble them brick by brick and haul them to their territory and then reassemble them. But yet, you know, hundreds of years later, they're still standing. So they weren't built like crap, even though they were built to look like ruins. Visitors often wonder what imposing building once stood here, but the whole thing is a deception. The ruin, which is called the Jealous Wall, was constructed in this dilapidated state in the 18th century by Robert Rochefort, a man known into history as the Wicked Earl. It's not scrolling. Alright, so apparently this guy was a big jerk too. That's most of the story. A great deal of eccentricity was expressed with the trend for ruin follies, is what they were called. But it wasn't only the madness of paranoid earls and fashionable landowners that were encoded in them. Sham ruins were also used by radicals and revolutionaries to communicate the fast-moving changes that were sweeping the world. So then there's this weird, like, there's all these weird buildings that supposedly they built to look like ruins. So obviously then you have this, well, what if they really were ruins and they're claiming they're fake, but they're real? So there was even a story where somebody had this beautiful home and they poked a bunch of holes in it and made it look like ruins and then built another one nearby so that their original home could be the ruined home. It just sounds ridiculous. But that's the new story about why there's like these weird ruins all over Europe now. Which I don't know, these stories just sounding stupider and stupider. Yeah, it used to be a book. Yeah, I agree, it used to be a book way back. But that was like a long time ago. She looks like a man. Yeah, that's kind of an older one too. She looks fatter. Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. She just looks like she's, she just looks like she's pudgy to me. I don't think she looks pregnant. Oh yeah, you agree her arm looks lower. I wasn't even looking at your thing when I said that. Yeah, I totally agree that was a book way back. I can still kind of picture it too. because I don't think she's pregnant because it looks like her legs are kind of pudgy and her arms are kind of pudgy. So it's balanced pudge. It's not like pregnant pudge where it's all in one spot. Did you see the Armenian hail flood? I'm assuming we're talking about Armenian here. Whoops, Armenian hail flood. Yeah, so the Folly ruins, that's what that was. They were calling those. Severe hailstone floods hits Grimini. Icebergs flowed through Armenian city after freak summer. Huh. Combined rain and hailstorm that struck Armenia's second city. Well, all the weather's getting weird. That is a lot of hail. So what, are they just combined into little mini icebergs, apparently? Summer hail is common, but the amount was unprecedented. Dang. Can you imagine that? Yep, crazy times. Today I seen a Lays Boy. It's not Lays Boy now, is it? I know it changed before, but I don't remember it being Lays Boy. Chair. It is a Lays Boy. Yeah, no. It was some other change before, but I don't remember it being that change. That it had another letter in there. There was an I. So it's a Lays Boy now. Lazy. That is a different version than I saw last time. Lazy Boy. Just can't keep up with this stuff. I was like, no, you must. I thought you just like had a fat finger moment there. Didn't get the I in there. The hyphen came out of nowhere, then disappeared. Oh, so we got two hyphens now. We got la-z-boy. Lazy boy. Laz boy. Yeah, I think it had more to do with the one dash. People were talking about the one dash. Now it's a Laz boy. Yes, tiny photos when stuff seems new. Yeah, first it's tiny photos, then it's bigger photos, then you get the video. And it starts out with tiny wikis also. And then, like, if it's animals, they're going to be, like, almost extinct when they show up. And sometimes they start out really small, too, and they get bigger and bigger. Also, they'll start out kind of plain looking, and then they'll slowly get more and more and more colors. So it's like they get this little seed and they grow. It's just creepy. No, it never had a hyphen at all for me. Yeah, now it's got two. Mom, why did you bring me here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think she had a choice either. Built to look like ruins. I know. There's even these stories of them like knocking down holes in their own houses. Gonna be Lisby soon. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, like, the spellings are getting weirder and weirder. That just to me seems to be a trend that it's in my old timeline things were spelled properly. You know, lazy boy would be LazYboy. And in this timeline they start like adding extra letters, and maybe it would be Boyy, or then dashes and removing stuff and don't Mandela-splain. Yeah, Mandela-splaining. No Mandela-splaining. So yeah, but you know that was it Folly ruins, I think they were calling it. Man, that opens a can of worms for conspiracy theory. So there was one where they had this Tibetan ruin, like in the middle of Europe. It shouldn't go there, right? Because it doesn't fit the history. So they're saying it's a Folly ruin. It was just transplanted, but yet, 100 years later, it's still standing there exactly the same. It's very suspicious. Letters merged together. Yep. And for me, they're also tipping sideways. A lot of logos, like what's that sandwich place? Subway. Subway's tipping. It got that extra arrow like years ago, and now it's tipping sideways. AutoZone is tipping. The post office, USPS is tipping. There's a lot of them. I didn't have all these weird tipped sideways angled letters, logos, names before. Okay, so got that one. I think I've only got 2 left. I didn't have that many today. Fake ruins. All right, I'm gonna cover that Woody Toy Story one from Floor Candia, who is on here talking. I don't know if anybody else covered this. I did a quickie Google, and I didn't see anybody else covering the Cow Woody. I actually think I saw this a couple weeks ago at least, and I thought it looked weird, but frankly, I don't have kids, and I didn't really watch this that much, so I'm not going to be as strong on it, but I don't remember that vest on Woody from Toy Story, the cow vest. So, and it's now apparently all of the images have him with this cow vest. And I remember it like this shirt color was, the vest was more like this shirt color, kind of a orangey brown tan kind of color. And then I remembered the shirt being a lighter color. That's how I remember it. So there's kind of a reversal, and no cow prints anywhere. So I call suspicion on that shirt too, that crosshatch pattern shirt. I'm suspicious on that one. I think the orange was the vest. That's how I remember it. Now that you mention it, I wonder if there's any residual. I don't think this is a real old change either. Costume. Is this dog one any chance? Why are you not very big? Can't really tell anything from that one. But it seems pretty cohesive for this. I am not seeing any residual for that. Wow, I don't see any residual. I wonder if there's anything in Tattoo Land. Nope, they've all got cow prints, every one of them. So I guess that's an iconic thing here. He had a cow print on. I mean, it makes sense because, you know, he's supposed to be a cowboy, so cow. Still. Still no. I don't remember that at all. I remember like this brown vest, which is actually more like the cowboys, you know, you usually see the stereotypes. And it's interesting one because I just don't really imagine people forgetting about the cow print because it kind of smacks you in the face. But I don't see any residual. Haha, Eva does searches exactly like me. Costumes, tattoos. Next, I check drawings and coloring. Yeah. I haven't actually checked coloring, though. You know, some of this I've gotten from other people, too, just watching other shows over the years. So I haven't thought of it all by myself. Can't take too much credit for that. I can't say I remember a vest at all. My son is 21 now, though. Yeah, I definitely do remember a vest, but it was like kind of like a brown, tan, tawny color. I'm not clicking on the girly Woody. You can you can click on that on your own time. You're trying to get me you can try to get me lose my you're going to get me to lose my you're going to get me in trouble with YouTube. Suddenly I can't speak English. Any little splotch of fleshy color and they tag your video. Like if a giant fish is on there and it's flesh colored. Boom. Video not safe for all audiences. I had that fish and it had like there was a fish with big red lips. Boom, not safe for audiences. And those bots are stupid, man. So I do remember a vest. I just don't remember it being a cow vest. That's the ME for me. I just remember it being brown. The holster was on the other side. Ooh, you know, that's just not that is not a detail I would catch. Toy Story. Let's look up sketch. I think I usually look up painting. This one might be close. Sketch is a good one, though. That... See, there's no cow on that one. Kind of a stretch, but... Excuse me. Sketches are a good idea because a lot of them suck so much that maybe the Mandela won't recognize them. Or however that works. But it seems like stuff that's really morphed or very distorted. The more distorted, the more it gets left. Which it does contradict the timelines thing because there should... Even the distorted ones should still have the current timeline if there is no infection across timelines. There has to be some kind of infection across timelines, or effect, or ties, or bleed overs, or combinings. Just because of the some of the residuals just can't be explained if it was always that way in this timeline. He doesn't have a vest on at all in that one. Yeah, these sketches are pretty good. I used to look up paintings a lot, but they tend to be more realistic. So, the crappier the drawing, the more likely we would see the original, would be a theory that I would have. I'm going to have to look at this more often and see if any pattern. This one sucks for residuals, though. Really not seeing anything. This one's kind of a weird one. He's got some kind of reddish vest on this one. Definitely not cow. Hmm. Curious if that one's going to become popular. Eventually, he won't even have a holster. Possibly, seeing how the timeline goes with the guns, it might be. The vest was the same color as the hat. Wait, I forgot already. Just pick up some random ones. Okay, close. I think it was more a little bit lighter and more orangey for me, but close. Brown. Yeah, I do agree it was brown. Hat seems smaller. Oh, yeah. You know what? I agree with you on that. I also don't remember it being shabby. Like, it's got these weird edges thing going on. You're right. There is something funky about that hat. Okay, here. This is what's funky about that hat. Wait, I don't want that. View image. If I can make this big enough. Okay, you see this? I don't remember this kind of hat. This is like a straw hat kind of a thing with the braiding. I don't remember it being that kind of hat. I remember it being more like one of those cowboy hats with a little bit of a brim and not that. This is more like a straw style. I don't remember this braiding at all. And the edges were, they weren't raggedy like that. This is more accurate. This is more like it. But that one still has that braiding. So it kind of has that Huckleberry Finn look with that braiding. I don't remember that being on there. So the cowboy hat would have bigger brim and no braiding. And it was a little lighter. See, look at that. That wasn't on there like that. Yeah, good find. I didn't quite catch that, but... See, that doesn't look like a cowboy. That looks like Huckleberry Finn. I think the Mandela knows you're searching for residues and eventually will let you find them or not. What we've kind of seen is after a fresh Mandela, a lot of times there's a lot of residual and then it disappears slowly over time. Every now and then you'll find more, but usually what you find is less and less. So either this one is older than I thought, or it could be that this is kind of an older Mandela, actually. Look up Woody Brown Vest. Woody. That's a good idea, actually. Smart. Images. Sheriff Woody. All right, we got Woody Harrelson. All right, let's look up Toy Story Woody Brown Vest. All right, there it is. Disney Jackets and Coats Woody Toy Story Vest from Poshmark. Okay, so there it is. There's a brown vest from Poshmark. Just that one, though. So somebody from Poshmark. So Poshmark is sort of like If I remember correctly, that's sort of like Etsy or eBay, but for like mostly for clothes. So somebody would just have that vest and say, oh, this is a Toy Story vest, or could be sold as a Toy Story vest. The problem when you just put Woody is apparently they're having a Woody Harrelson as the... I could be wrong, though. Let's check it a little bit more. Okay, that's that same Poshmark one, I think, the brown vest. Oh, look, it does have... That's interesting because it's a brown vest for Woody Toy Story, but then it has Woody on it, and he doesn't have a brown vest on anymore on the vest. 4-button vest with Woody patch. Okay, so they're not saying it's a Woody vest. They're saying it has a Woody patch, which it does have. So the Mandela has covered its butt there. Here's one that actually looks like wood. Right. That was a good idea to do that search, but I'm not finding any smoking gun residuals over here. It looks like it's all Woody Harrelson stuff. From what I see so far. Second image. Wait. This one? This is all just like brown vest for sale. So this one, Sheriff Woody. Yeah, that's a tough one because it doesn't say it's Toy Story. All right, it's from where? Value Village. All right, let's just click on it and see. That might be why the Mandela missed it. Be everyone's favorite deputy in this Sheriff Woody Halloween costume. Ooh, it does say inspired from Toy Story. It does say it. This is how I remember the hat too. Not with that black though, but that shape. That is the shape. All right, he's still got the orange shirt. So it's like an amalgam of new and old. Because I don't remember the shirt being... I remember the vest being lighter and the shirt being lighter than this. I don't remember that fringe either, actually. So it's like a half and half. All right, so it's a little bit of residual. That might be about as close as it gets. I thought this one was going to be it, but it's just that patch. And see, that one looks like more like this Woody Harrelson one too, somewhat. So that might be what they're talking about. I don't know. But then it's got the bandana thing. Dunno. It's a weak one, but it's about as good as it gets, I guess. No one had the doll. Nope. I was, I don't have any kids, so I have no reason to have a Woody doll. Okay, so there's that one, and that is from Floor Candia. Good observation. I didn't see it on any of the other channels either, so I'm guessing you found that one, which is cool. Okay, this last one is from Manifest a Good Life, commenter on the channel. Talking about the Saturn rings, just look different. And I agree. And I mean, obviously you could say, oh, well, they learned new stuff, but I can't find any of the old images of the Saturn rings. So You know, there was a time when they said that they weren't even sure if Saturn had rings. That was in my life. I don't. I think that goes much further back now, that they've always known that they had rings, that it had rings, and a lot of other planets have rings now. That was just a question. But when they used to portray them, they were individual rings, and now it looks like a record player with a ball in the center. The way they portray it now, it's very thick, like it's more like a flat disc around the, and Manifest a Good Life remembers them as having, they would portray them colorful, in a colorful way, a little bit more like with a little bit more like this one. And now they're all like monochrome, so that was another thing. But when that person mentioned it, I went to look. I'm like, yeah, I agree, but it's more like the shape is all different now. It almost looks like you could walk on those things. And I've covered other stuff about all kinds of weird stuff going on in the rings. But yeah, it was never like that. So it looks like they're getting like thicker, and they're further out from the planets. They cover a lot more territory now. They come in closer to the planet and further than the planet. Just, you can't find the old images, though. I mean, you could say, oh, they changed it, but some of these images are fairly old, and they all have that same look. The ones that I used to see are just nowhere. So I agree, there's something fishy about those rings. And that's about it for me. I really don't have that many. It's a very quiet week for me. eBay. Yeah, we could try eBay. Let's see. eBay. I'm pretty sure all the toys will be mainstream, but we could look for like, wait, what was that? See, that hat looks more like I remember. Cosplay hat. Let's look for a cosplay. Oops. Let's try that one more time. So yeah, that hat. See the difference between this one and this one? See if I can find something that's not a toy. No matches. They're going to be mostly toys, and I don't think we're going to find residual in the toys. Tenderizing and soaking my beautiful steak for dinner. Marinating since yesterday. Ooh, sounds good. We do steaks a lot here. Prices have gotten really high because of the weird beef shortage, because they shut down a bunch of the processing facilities. But it's still around. I do remember the weird braid on the hat. Okay, so Katie remembers the braid. Yes, good old steaks. 2 o'clock in the morning is a bit late for dinner, even for me, though. Jazzy has the cow vest, and Woody had the plain brown. Yeah, I just remember what, I just knew the main characters. Jessie had the cow vest. Jessie from Store Toys. Jessie. How do you spell that? With an E. Let's see what happens when we put that in. All right, let's just see how Jessie looks in general. All right, so Jessie has the cow pants now. So yeah, do you remember two characters having cow? I don't remember any characters having cow, but I'm not really strong on Jessie, so I can't say much on that one. Woody had a tawny vest for me. Yeah, that's what I remember. I don't think I saw the sequel, so that might be why. Yeah, I didn't even see the sequel, so 2 inches thick. Yums. I'm assuming you're talking about the steak. That means you can get it nice and medium rare in the middle. That's why it's great to have the thick steaks. No cow pants on Jessie for me. She did not have cow pants. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw any of the sequel, so therein lies the rub. It's kind of weird to have two characters both with the same cow print, too, I have to say. Then this whole, this whole layout is weird. Who has pants that start as jeans and then turn into cow? It makes her look like she's wearing a diaper. It's a really weird design choice. And like I said, I did not see I don't remember her. I didn't see that show. But that's a really weird design choice. It's jean cow pants, which I've never seen in real life even, although I'm sure some weird runway model had them on somewhere, but oh, the kitty was quiet for a whole hour. Each decade and year is uniquely weird and a fascinating gradual metamorphosis. It's getting faster and faster, though. Chaps, no, but they're like, chaps should be leather colored. I've never seen jean chaps. And also, chaps go down in the thighs here. So they would go way down because they protect your inner thighs from wear and tear from sitting on the cow. So you have to have them down in your thighs. Let's see, I'll show. The cat is bouncing around on some boxes and causing trouble over here. So if you hear some booms. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Some of these images. Okay, so that must be it then. It must be supposed to be chaps. Half of these images are not cowboy chaps. Okay, yeah, that must be it. It must be chaps. Although I've never seen cow print ones before because they're leather without hair on. They don't have hair on chaps. So this is a hair on pattern. The print is the black and the white is the hair of the cow. So you do see hair on vests, leather with the hair on, but you don't see hair on chaps. I've never seen that. It's only the leather, the skin, and the skin does not have that pattern. Hey, kitty, quit it! I gotta throw the kitty out. Hey! Kitty was scratching my stuff. I don't want him to get in the habit. It's just a box, but I don't want him to get in the habit of scratching. Once he gets the attitude he could scratch in the house, it's all over. Alrighty, anyways, it's 2 o'clock, so I don't have any more Mandelas. It's been very quiet. I don't think cow skin is the same color as fur. I've never seen a mottled pattern on a skin ever. And you know, cows, there's a lot of cows with white and black blobs on their fur, but I've never seen any pattern like that on the leather ever. Not even one single time. So I don't think so. All right, anyways, kind of quiet. Oh, I think I'm going to go to bed early, a mere 2 o'clock in the morning. Thanks for coming. I think it's time for me to head on out. So thanks for your contributions. I know there wasn't a lot of them, but I didn't have a lot either. Stay calm, everybody. Think good thoughts. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.